And I saw a video that popped recently about 20 shocking secrets kept hidden in Tremors. So I thought, okay, we watched Tremors for movie night. And if there's 20 shocking secrets, I am intrigued. So why don't we take a look?
What the hell's going on?
Tremors, 20 shocking secrets they kept hidden. It looked like just another B-movie monster flick. Dusty deserts, quirky townsfolk, and creatures lurking underground. But Tremors was far stranger and far riskier than anyone expected. Studio battles over its bizarre script. Creatures designed in secrecy, with effects that pushed the limits of practical filmmaking. A tone caught between horror and comedy that nearly doomed it before release. What was meant to be a low-budget gamble turned into an unlikely cult phenomenon, spawning sequels, spin-offs, and a fandom no one saw coming. But how close did it come to being buried for good? What hidden fights shaped the final cut?
And
what
this behind-the-scenes
did the
stuff.
cast and crew leave buried beneath the Nevada sand? Prepare to unearth 20 shocking secrets they kept hidden about Tremors. Shocking Secret 1. The wild idea that sparked Tremors.
Okay.
The origin of Tremors didn't come from a boardroom or a pitch meeting. It came from frustration in the desert. Writers S.S. Wilson and Brent Maddock were working on a Navy project in California when Wilson sat on a boulder and imagined a nightmare. What if something underground kept you from ever leaving? That single chilling thought became the seed of Tremors.
Interesting. Oh. Okay, and why I say interesting is, if you remember, the first kill, like the first discovered kill, not simply just the third act, Eric. Actually, what I was referring to, the first discovered kill in Tremors was a guy that had climbed that electrical pole and could not get down because he would have been attacked by the graboids, and so he had to climb up on this electrical utility pole and just had to stay there and died from dehydration. So basically, the theory, the concept, the nightmarish idea that this person had was represented in the first discovered kill, or the first discovered death of the movie. Interesting.
The can't touch the ground idea inspired the graboids, the film's monstrous subterranean predators. Wilson scribbled notes obsessively, and with Maddock's help, they developed a script that combined horror, humor, and Western grit. But when they pitched the idea to studios, it was laughed off as absurd. No one believed an underground monster movie could draw audiences.
Okay, well, I was going to say, this isn't uncommon with Hollywood, especially back in the 80s. The 80s was an era where a lot of really dumb fucking movie ideas was getting pitched to studios left and right. This is where the whole elevator pitch concept came into, where, okay, give me your elevator pitch, which is basically you have the amount of time for one elevator ride from the ground floor to, I don't know, the 16th floor to pitch your movie and entice someone into wanting to make it. So they undoubtedly had hundreds of movie pitches getting set their way per month. And honestly, like, here's the funny part, is it's both understandable and yet the movie studios that refused were also conveniently denying or forgetting about some of the most famous horror movies ever made that barely ever showed the monster. I mean, Jaws, anyone? the shark in the original Jaws was hardly seen throughout the movie. You got first-person point of view from the shark, but you didn't really see the shark. But Tristan, that's what I'm saying. There's precedent. Like while they were turning down Tremors in the 80s, you had this precedent in the 70s in the form of Jaws, and that's why I'm saying like these movie studios that were turning down are all also apparently forgot that one of the most popular horror movies of all time is Jaws, where you don't even see the shark for a big part of the movie. That's what I'm talking about.
They were wrong. What began as a fleeting daydream in the desert turned into one of the most original creature features in Hollywood history.
Hey.
A desert daydream became a groundbreaking creature feature, proving that
Yes, Moss. Also, good point. The first Alien. Also, you didn't really see it until the end. You only saw bits and pieces. Correct. That's another really good example.
even the wildest ideas can strike gold. Shocking Secret 2: How Universal Nearly Buried the Script. When Universal first got its hands on the Tremors script, executives didn't see potential. They saw disaster. The blend of comedy and horror confused them. Was it supposed to be funny? Scary?
Oh, God.
A parody? No one knew how to market it. Studio notes demanded endless rewrites, each one threatening to strip the story of its charm. They wanted more blood, less humor. Then more humor, less horror. At one point, executives even suggested removing the monsters altogether, focusing only on survival tension. The writers fought back, refusing to let their story be gutted. Their persistence kept the core idea alive, though by the time production started, many compromises had already been made. Universal reluctantly agreed to move forward, but made it clear they didn't expect success. Tremors was a risk they were prepared to bury.
And oh, how beautifully wrong they were. Tremors ended up being amazing.
What?
Studio doubt nearly buried Tremors before it began.
Oh no, Tiramore. They made like 7 or 8 movies. I'm pretty sure the final one, Shrieker Island, was, I think that was number 8. Yeah, it was like 7 or 8 movies, 1 failed TV show, and there was another TV show that they wanted to make that never just got off the ground that was going to bring back Kevin Bacon. But yeah, it was like Tremors 1, Tremors 2, Tremors 3, the Tremors prequel. Then there was Tremors in Antarctica. Then there was Tremors in Africa, and then finally the 8th one, which was Shrieker Island, and that was the conclusion of the Tremors franchise. Oh yeah, Tiramore. They made a lot of them. They made a lot of these things.
But the creators' stubborn vision kept the monsters alive. Shocking Secret 3: The casting shakeups that changed everything. Casting Tremors was chaos. Kevin Bacon wasn't the first choice. He wasn't even the second. The studio initially wanted bigger names, including established action stars, to lead the film. But when negotiations failed, Bacon was brought in reluctantly. At the time, Bacon's career was in freefall. After Footloose, he struggled to find serious roles, and taking a part in what looked like a silly monster movie felt humiliating.
Honestly, like, I can't imagine anyone other than Kevin Bacon taking on this role. But like, yeah, I mean, number one, this movie basically started Kevin Bacon on his track to success. This movie, I think, is what started him on that upward trajectory. But realistically, I can't think of anyone other than him taking the role, because he fit the role of like an everyman, even hillbilly type. Like just like like not even someone that's smart, like just like a down home country boy using those country smarts to outwit a subterranean creature. Like a bigger name, honestly, for the time in the 80s, Vericios, I actually don't think Kurt Russell would have been good. Realistically, I don't think Kurt Russell would have been good because Kurt Russell, I think by this point, would have had too much badass energy. Kurt Russell, I think, would have brought in too much badass energy. You would not be able to think of him as like an everyman who's like using country wit to survive. Especially like when he did The Thing. Yeah, he kind of exhibited that, but at the conclusion of The Thing, he kind of developed it, he kind of developed this persona that people associated with him, that he is a badass. And so when you stick Kurt Russell on the screen in Tremors, you already know, okay, he's going to be a badass. Whereas with Kevin Bacon, it's just like he's just a down-home country boy that isn't honestly that honestly isn't smart, but he's got the country smarts, which is what got him by. And yes, Action Bastard, oh God, what is the actress's name? And she actually came back too. She played Lex in Jurassic Park. So she did Tremors first, then she did Jurassic Park when she got a little older, and then she actually came back for Tremors 3. She actually came back and reprised her role in Tremors 3.
He reportedly broke down to his wife, worried this role would ruin him forever. But
wait, when did I say Action Bastard? What? Yeah, she was in Jurassic Park 1 and in 2. She had a cameo in Jurassic Park 2 as well. Her and the actor who played Tinny. Yeah, they had main roles in Jurassic Park 1, but they did have a cameo in Jurassic Park. Oh, you were talking with Terry. Oh, never mind.
Bacon wasn't the only one caught
yes,
in the
Ariana
shuffle.
Richards. Thank you, Grant
Other
Adam.
actors turned down roles, and several casting swaps happened at the last minute. The final ensemble, Bacon, Fred Ward, Michael Gross, and Reba McEntire, was far from what the studio envisioned. Ironically, that unpolished mix became lightning in a bottle, giving the film its quirky, offbeat energy.
And Mikey Gross, I think this movie kind of propelled Michael Gross from his established roles. Because don't forget, before this movie, he was basically known as the dad from Family Ties. People just knew him as the wholesome dad from Family Ties. And no one could ever even imagine him as a prepper, as a survivalist. And now, when people think of Michael Gross, they think of Burt Gummer. This role has basically become the defining role over his role in Family Ties, which is amazing because he did a great as Burt Gummer. I fucking love Michael Gross as Burt Gummer. He's easily one of the best parts of the movie, which is why he ends up becoming the main character after Tremors 2. He has become the main character throughout the rest of the Tremors franchise.
Are you okay? Yeah, what about what's the neighbor?
A miscast ensemble became Tremors' secret weapon, turning Hollywood doubt into on-screen chemistry gold. Shocking Secret 4: Kevin Bacon's Career Crisis. Before the film, for Kevin Bacon, Tremors came at a breaking point. He was struggling financially, his career felt stalled, and he admitted to feeling ashamed when he signed onto the movie. In interviews, he confessed that he thought starring in a creature feature about underground worms was a career-ending mistake. On set, his frustration boiled over. He clashed with crew members, doubted the script, and at times wanted to walk away. But as filming
Quickly.
progressed, something shifted. Bacon began bonding with Fred Ward, leaning into the humor and embracing the absurdity of it all. Ironically,
Nice.
the film he feared would destroy his career ended up saving it. Though Tremors wasn't a box office hit, it became a cult phenomenon, keeping Bacon's name alive during a period when Hollywood was ready to forget him. Sometimes the role you dread the most becomes the one that defines you.
And I mean, think about this. Can you imagine, like, Kevin Bacon is now a huge star. For God's sake, there's the game of 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon. I mean, for fuck's sake, the whole purpose of the Guardians of the Galaxy Christmas special surrounded Mantis and Drax kidnapping Kevin Bacon to bring him back to nowhere as a Christmas present for Peter because Peter loved Kevin Bacon. I mean, this movie was the turning point for him. And this is what allowed his star to rise.
The role
this
Bacon
is one of
feared
his
would
best
ruin
films.
him instead revived his career, proving the unexpected can redefine destiny. Shocking Secret 5: The Monsters That Terrified. Even the crew, the Graboids, weren't just monsters on screen, they were monsters behind the scenes too. Designed by legendary effects team Amalgamated Dynamics, the creatures were massive, heavy, and notoriously difficult to operate. Each Graboid required teams of puppeteers, hydraulics...
Oh, that... Okay. So... somebody's using AI for the narration here. Unfortunate. Unfortunately, we now know that this voice is now AI.
Ember's bacon number is 4.
No, it's not. No, I do not know anybody. I am probably about 1,000 degrees from remote some. Yeah, Kevin Bacon. Yeah, Alex, I don't know. I don't know why it just called it Graboids instead of Graboids. Who fucking knows?
and elaborate rigs to make them move realistically beneath the desert soil. During shooting, malfunctions were constant. The creatures broke down, overheated, and even trapped crew members under collapsed dirt rigs. At one point,
God.
a malfunctioning graboid nearly crushed a stuntman, forcing emergency shutdowns. But despite the
Shit.
dangers, the graboids were terrifyingly effective. Cast members admitted they sometimes forgot the creatures weren't alive, especially when the animatronics lunged unexpectedly. The combination of scale...
Okay, can we just appreciate the effectiveness of the special effects team? That, like, the special effects department made graboids so convincing that it even scared the cast when they would suddenly lunge. Like, big fucking props to that team. They did a fantastic fucking job if they're even scaring the cast on set. Bravo to them.
detail, and unpredictability made the monsters feel real, not just to audiences, but to the very people filming them. The Graboids weren't just the villains of Tremors. They were the biggest threat on set. The Graboids terrorized both cast and crew, proving that on Tremors, the monsters weren't confined to the screen. Shocking Secret 6, the original title that made everyone laugh. Before it became Tremors, the film had a very different name, Land Sharks. Universal executives thought it was catchy,
Yeah.
but the writers hated it. To them,
Amusingly enough, I'm pretty sure there is a B movie that has come out within the last 10 or 15 years that is literally called Land Sharks. I'm almost positive that I've seen I'm almost positive I saw one on Tubi that is literally called Land Sharks. That it's sharks literally going through. It's like in a beach, it's like a beach area, and they maybe it's sand sharks. Yeah, they've literally and what is it? It's a bad B movie.
It sounded like a cheap knockoff of Jaws, and even the crew couldn't keep a straight face when saying it aloud. For months, the production wrestled with titles: Dead Silence, Beneath Perfection, and even Grayboids. None.
Okay, beneath. You know what? You know what? That title, Beneath Perfection, kinda would work. That actually is not a bad title. Dead Silence, no. But Beneath Perfection, I actually kind of like that as a title for the Tremors franchise. That is a damn good title. Granted, it doesn't allow for sequels. You know, you can't do like Beneath Perfection 2, Beneath Perfection 3 with, you know, the setting not being perfection. So the title only lends itself to a one-off, unfortunately. But as a title, going on the assumption that they weren't trying to make a franchise in this, bearing in mind when they were making Tremors, they weren't trying to make a franchise. They were just trying to make a decent, you know, a single good movie. And so in that respect, it's not bad. It's not bad. Although I will say Beneath Perfection actually, to my ears, doesn't really exemplify the mixture of horror and comedy and like Old West it doesn't exemplify the mixture of genres that they that they had all put together. But still, Beneath Perfection is a good title. I do think it's a good title, though.
Stuck. Finally, someone suggested Tremors, capturing both the underground menace and the desert's shaky ground. It was simple, powerful, and terrifying. The change was a turning point. Suddenly, the film had an identity. Instead of being dismissed as a Jaws clone in the sand, Tremors stood on its own. That one decision turned a potential punchline into a title strong enough to outlive its...
Well, okay, Zed, to your point of it kind of spoils if there's something below them. The movie poster does that. Because don't forget, the movie poster was the three of them standing on the ground, and then a giant fucking graboid beneath them with the maw open like it's going to burst out through the ground to eat them. So the movie poster alone spoils that there's something below. And Mantez, I will agree most sequels suck. The Tremors sequels kind of broke that. Because the Tremors sequels, for the most part, are really good. Up to, I'd say half of the Tremors sequels are really good.
That one decision turned a potential punchline into a title strong enough to outlive its studio's doubts. A single name change transformed the movie from a punchline into a cult classic brand. Tremors was born. Shocking Secret 7. The set dangers. No one warned the actors about filming in the desert looked authentic, but it came at a price. Temperatures soared past 110 degrees during the day, dropping near freezing at night. Cast and crew battled dehydration, heat stroke, and rattlesnake encounters while working grueling hours on unstable terrain. Dust storms frequently shut down production, ruining expensive equipment. At one point, a collapsing dirt rig nearly buried a crew member alive. Safety protocols were minimal, and many actors were left to do their own stunts.
Well, Pete, you mean a ninth movie. They have 8 movies. Tremors 1, Tremors 2, Tremors 3, Back to Perfection, which was the prequel, which was number 4, Tremors 5, Tremors 6, Back to Perfection. And then after Back to Perfection, there was the African one. After the oh no, it was only 7. Because after the African one, it was the Antarctic one, and then it was Shrieker Island. You're right, it was only, I'm forgetting, it is 7. And unfortunately, Kite, I don't see how Michael Gross could do an 8th movie. I'm not going to say why. I won't say why. And for those of you that do know, no spoilers if you know why, because plenty of people haven't seen the 7th movie. But realistically, I don't see how Michael Gross could do. I don't see how Michael Gross could do an 8th movie. Thank you, Lycan. And yes, Tiramore, the second one, Tremors 2, is the one that had Aftershocks as a subtitle. Yeah, they could do an 8th movie, but I don't see how Michael Gross could be in it. Yeah, I mean, he is, Michael Gross has got to be in his 80s by now. Considering the role, I mean, he is a pracker, and his character is kind of an action character. In addition to other factors, I don't know if he would be able to do it.
On shifting sandbanks and treacherous rock formations. Fred Ward joked that the real horror wasn't the graboids, it was the environment. While the film looked like a quirky B-movie, the dangers were all too real. Behind every light-hearted scene was a cast and crew fighting just to survive the desert.
There she is, there's Mindy.
The desert itself became a relentless antagonist, turning Tremors into a battle for survival both on and off camera. Shocking Secret 8, How Practical Effects. Almost bankrupted production, Tremors leaned heavily on practical effects, but those choices nearly destroyed the budget. The graboids were massive creations, requiring hydraulic systems, giant puppets, and elaborate rigs buried under tons of dirt. Each sequence was painstaking. Scenes that looked like quick scares took days to reset, with crews digging trenches and
Yeah, practical effects are expensive and time-consuming, but it's because they look so fucking good. Because Tremors did go CGI for probably starting with, the 3rd movie, I'd say. Starting with the 3rd movie, they started leaning more and more into CGI, and eventually it was all CGI, and it started to it too. They had a mix of practical, and they did a good mix of practical and CGI in 2. It was a good mix. You could tell the ones where it was CG, you could tell. But there was a good mix of the CGI and practical, so it kind of worked. And then in later entries into the franchise, it was 100% CGI, and the movie does suffer from it. Not terribly so. The CGI doesn't retract from the enjoyment of the future Tremors movies, but it absolutely is noticeable. 100% it is noticeable in terms of, what you're seeing on screen, where it's okay, I don't believe this is actually there.
Assembling machinery that constantly broke down. Costs spiraled, and producers panicked as the budget ballooned. There was pressure to cut corners with cheap miniatures or early CGI, but the team refused. They believed audiences would only connect if the monsters felt tangible.
And that, I agree. To your point, Alex, here's the thing. With Jurassic Park was a blend of CG and animatronics. Basically, with Jurassic Park, they had animatronics and they layered CG over it to basically complete the realness that the animatronics just couldn't get. So with Jurassic Park, it's not like oh CG looks really good like Jurassic Park. It's the way Spielberg used the CGI was very clever and very intelligent in the way he did it. Well, I mean, honestly, Alex, I think we hit a peak and now CGI is starting to decline. Like we did reach a point where CGI was really good and almost indistinguishable. And now we're actually kind of seeing a decline in Hollywood in terms of CGI usage. We're seeing a backtracking of the quality of it. And I think that's largely because studios are starting to really rush through projects and CGI artists are on impossible deadlines now. And so the end result is crap. The Black Panther is the perfect example. The final fight in the Black Panther looks like shit. Objectively, the CGI in the final fight of Black Panther looks like absolute dog shit. And it's because the artist probably got rushed. And a lot of studios do that. A lot of studios are rushing the CGI artists to try and make this deadline instead of giving the CGI artists proper time to work their craft and make the CGI look good. But yeah, ultimately the best course of action is to try and do a mixture of CGI and practical effects. Mix the two of them together, and that is sort of like the pinnacle of special effects. That is probably peak special effects when you're able to use practical effects and do like a mask or a layer of CGI to fill in the gaps that the practical effect just can't get. And there you have peak special effects.
Their gamble paid off. The practical graboids became iconic, still admired decades later. But at the time, Universal executives saw the effects as a money pit and considered pulling the plug more than once.
Doesn't he have a home to go to?
Every dollar spent was a bet on believability, and it nearly bankrupted the studio before earning its cult glory. Shocking Secret 9, the scene that made test audiences walk out. During early screenings, one scene proved too much for audiences: the death of the doctor and his wife. Originally, it was far more graphic, with the graboid devouring them in gruesome detail. The violence left test audiences shaken, with some storming out of the theater. Executives demanded edits, forcing the filmmakers to trim the sequence and focus on suspense rather than gore.
And you know what? That worked. I actually think that the suspensefulness of that scene probably did work better than a big gory. That for once, this was a good call. For once, this was a good call by the studios. Because that scene was incredibly that scene was very suspenseful, and it set the suspenseful tone for the film as at large. I think if it had been like a gore fest where you're just seeing like blood and guts going everywhere and the graboid just chowing down and and the doctor like spewing blood, I don't think it would have been as impactful. The fact that you didn't see anything, that there was not blood, that the scene in question, you're basically just seeing the doctor getting sucked down with such force that it breaks a fucking 2x4 when he tries to use it, and then it actually pulls the car, it's actually pulling the car down into the dirt, which is found later, worked really fucking good. And Hendrix, that's the key thing there, is when it comes to horror storytelling, it's always better to have your audience use their imagination versus throwing it up on the screen for them to see. You always get a much more visceral reaction when the audience has to look at something and imagine, their own imagination has to cook up what might be happening instead of actually having it splash to you on the screen. It gets the audience much more invested. The audience member has a much higher investment in your film if they're actually, just by watching it, it's not like forcing the audience, like, oh, you have to imagine this. We're never gonna tell you. You have to use your imagination. It's like giving just enough kernels or just enough nuggets that the audience's imagination just starts kicking in and working on what they might not be seeing, because and that gets them so much more invested in what they're watching. It's what makes for good filmmaking. When you actually as effectively get audience participation, your movie is all the better for it. When the audience actively wants to participate in what is happening on the screen.
Ironically, the toned-down version became scarier, with the couple's truck sinking into the sand and headlights glowing eerily
Not truck,
in the
it was
night.
a car.
It was a lesson in restraint. Sometimes what you don't see is far more terrifying. The scene remains one of the most haunting in the film, but few know how close it came to being far bloodier, and how nearly it derailed the movie's chances of survival. The deleted gore didn't just save the movie's rating, it sharpened its tension. By letting the audience's imagination fill in the blanks, Tremors turned fear into a psychological weapon, proving that less can be far more when it comes to terror. Shocking Secret 10. The secret behind the graboid sound design. The graboids didn't just look terrifying, they sounded otherworldly. But the noises weren't computer-generated. Sound designers built the audio from a disturbing cocktail of real-life recordings. Pig squeals, distorted elephant trumpets, and even human screams slowed to unnatural pitches. Each graboid had its own voice, a layered mix of animalistic growls and guttural roars. The trick was making them sound both alien and organic. Something that felt possible in nature, yet horrifyingly wrong. During production, some crew members admitted the sounds unnerved them more than the creatures themselves. At night, playback tests echoed across the desert, convincing locals that strange animals were prowling nearby. The sound design gave the graboids life, and in doing so, turned Tremors from campy fun into something chillingly believable. Graboid sounds, pigs, elephants, human screams made Tremors terrifyingly real. Shocking Secret 11. Why the film was nearly rated
Oh,
X.
these should be fun.
When Tremors was first submitted to the MPAA, it received a shocking rating. And
Seb, when I'm thinking back on it now, I can kind of see it. There's certain scenes, think about, remember that high-pitched squeal that the one graboid made when the jackhammer went into it? That was one graboid making a scream. And then remember the scene where Kevin Bacon, it was either Kevin Bacon or Fred, where I forget which one did it, basically drives a pickaxe into the head of another one. That scream is lower and more guttural than the one that made the scream when the jackhammer went into it. And plus it makes makes guttural grunting noises when it's pulling the pickaxe out of its head. So yeah, you actually can hear the different voices from the different graboids. Yeah, one of them was much more high pitched, one of them was lower and more gutturally pitched. So yeah, they actually have their own voices, which is really fucking cool.
when Tremors was first submitted to the MPAA, it received a shocking rating, an X. Not because of nudity or sex, but because of its graphic violence and language. The board claimed the film's gore was too extreme for an R, and that the repeated profanity pushed it over the edge. The filmmaker—
Profanity? they must have had to make changes because they must have had to make changes after that rating because there was not a lot of swearing in that movie. I think I could maybe count on one hand the number of times they actually swore in the movie.
Were stunned. An X rating meant commercial suicide. No theaters, no marketing, no audience. So they fought back, trimming bloodier shots and overdubbing dialogue to soften the language. Entire lines of Kevin Bacon's dialogue were re-recorded to swap out harsher curse words. The edits worked. Barely. The film escaped with a PG-13 initially, then was bumped to R after more review. Without those cuts, Tremors might have been buried forever, remembered only as a lost monster film too offensive to see the light of day. Tremors barely escaped an X rating. Cuts to gore and language saved it from being buried. Shocking Secret 12. The unscripted...
Okay, so... so that section was a bit of a lie for the heading of it. They didn't actually ad-lib. They had to dub over. So while the section was interesting, that there was much more swearing to it, that section was a little bit of a lie. The actors didn't ad-lib anything in that section anyway.
Being buried.
Okay, well, Atanashi, you have to remember, Blade came out how long after Tremors? I'm pretty sure Blade came out damn near 10 plus years after Tremors. So the rate, we've seen things change, we see the rating systems change over time. Heck, nowadays, like some horror movies with plenty of swearing in it only has a rating of PG. You only see R for basically the really bloodily violent or Satan sex movies in this day and age. So like the ratings have the bar for the rating scale has dramatically changed over time. And Elazul, thank you for the subby.
Shocking Secret 12. The unscripted moments that became iconic. Some of Tremors' most beloved moments weren't in the script at all. Kevin Bacon's raw outburst, "I've had it with these mother graboids," was originally improvised. So was Fred Ward's gruff one-liners, many of which came from his irritation with long filming days in the desert.
Oh.
Even the final explosion scene carried elements of improvisation.
Wait.
The dust, timing, and Bacon's leap to safety weren't perfectly planned, making his reactions far more authentic. The crew often encouraged
Seth, I was thinking the same thing. Now we're into the ad-libs. So whoever put this video together did not properly label the sections. For shame, YouTube video editor, for shame. We see you.
Cast to play loose, capturing spontaneous energy that kept the film feeling
I know,
real.
Zed, that's what I mean.
What was supposed to be a tightly controlled monster flick became organic, unpredictable, and oddly charming. The film's heart came not from the script alone, but from the moments the actors made their own.
Wargator.
Many of Tremors' best moments were improvised. Bacon and Ward turned frustration into iconic, unscripted magic. Shocking.
Okay, so this is probably going to be about the deleted ending.
Secret. 13. The deleted ending. You'll never see few fans know that Tremors originally had a very different ending. Instead of Valentine and Rhonda sharing a hopeful kiss, the film concluded on a bleak, uncertain note. The survivors looked out across the desert, realizing the graboids might not be gone at all. The studio hated it. Test audiences walked out confused, wanting closure. So the filmmakers reshot the finale.
Okay, I can actually understand that. Back when this was made, having a bleak ending where, like, okay, you think the last graboid is dead, and then you finish it with them looking across the desert and going, do we know if they're actually all really gone? And then ending it that way in the 80s? Yeah, that was, Pete, this was back during a time where horror movies, like horror-esque, because this would be like a horror-esque monster movie, that when you beat the final monster, you beat the final monster and you have a happy ending. And yeah, this was another situation where the studio made the right call. I thought it was late 80s, Garrett. Was it 90? I thought it was late 80s. I could maybe I'm wrong. I thought it was like 88 or 89. But I mean, this was during a time, even in 1990. Okay, so it's like 1990, right after the 80s. So people, you know how slow people can be, like movie audiences, when it comes from moving on from one particular trope in one decade and then transitioning into another decade. It's, you know, these kind of movies, to have a bleak ending is not like it is today, where you're used to said bleak ending. People wanted your monster movie to have a happy ending where the good guys beat the monster and they quote unquote ride off into the sunset. You wouldn't really start getting these, okay, you beat the monster, but oh, jump scare, there's another one at the end and it's not actually dead. You wouldn't really start seeing that probably till late 90s, early 2000s, when it became commonplace. But late 80s, early 90s, it was the audience had the expectation about, beat the monster and the good guys, go on, they've suffered through their trials, but they have emerged victorious and they go on and, ride off into the sunset. The guy gets the girl and all that good stuff. That's what audiences wanted when this movie came out.
Giving Valentine a moment of victory and a romantic payoff. It was lighter, more satisfying,
Good night, Stefan.
and ultimately what audiences remembered. But in doing so, a darker, more unsettling ending was buried. Somewhere in Universal's archives lies footage of an alternate Tremors, where the desert doesn't feel safe, and survival is only temporary.
Honestly, I think if Universal released the director's cut with some of the original, with the original language, with some of the original footage, with the original, maybe even the original gore, with the original ending, I think that could go big. There's still a cult following for Tremors, and I think a lot of people would love to see a director's cut or a vault cut of this movie as it was originally intended. I think, I'd watch it. I'd play it during movie night. If they release that, I 100% would show that during movie night. I think that would be fucking awesome.
A reminder that sometimes happy endings are manufactured, not earned. Tremors originally ended bleakly, with no kiss. Universal forced a reshoot for a happier, romantic finale. Shocking Secret 14. Michael Gross' shocking transformation. After Family Ties.
This is what I was
Michael
talking
Gross
about.
was America's favorite dad on Family Ties.
This is what I was talking
A
about.
warm, lovable figure on television. But when he signed on to Tremors, just one day after filming the final episode of Family Ties, he transformed into Burt Gummer, the paranoid survivalist with an arsenal of weapons. The contrast stunned fans. Gross relished the chance to shed his wholesome image, diving headfirst into paranoia, comedy,
And damn, was he good.
explosive action. His performance was so iconic that Burt Gummer became the through line of the entire Tremors franchise, appearing in more sequels than any other character.
How about every sequel? After, Burt Gummer was literally in every single Tremors movie. He was in every single one of them. And after Tremors 2, he literally became the lead of the franchise. Every Tremors movie after Tremors 2 was about him. So yeah, he literally became the face of the franchise. And he was great at it. He was absolutely great.
What began as a shocking career pivot turned into a reinvention. Gross didn't just play Burt Gummer, he became the soul of Tremors, proof that even the most unlikely actors
Correct,
can
Kaiba,
become
correct.
cult legends. Michael Gross traded wholesome dad for paranoid survivalist, Burt Gummer, becoming Tremors' enduring cult icon. Shocking Secret 15, the town that never existed. Perfection, Nevada, the tiny desert town terrorized by graboids, wasn't real. The filmmakers built the entire town from scratch.
Really? I'm shocked. Shocked! Well, not that shocked. Dang. Fucking duh. Fucking duh. Perfection never existed. The town of Perfection in this movie had literally like 5 fucking buildings. Now, okay, we're closing in on the latter half of these secrets, and I think the shock value is starting to wear thin.
In Lone Pine, California. Every building, every storefront, even the water tower was constructed just for the movie. But the illusion was so convincing
Did it, Black
that
Wolf?
tourists later searched for the town, believing it actually existed. Some even drove across Nevada deserts with maps in hand, hunting for perfection. When filming ended, the set was dismantled, leaving nothing behind but sand and stone. Perfection vanished as quickly as it appeared, surviving only on film. For fans, it became more than a setting. It was a myth, a place that lived only in memory.
Wait.
Perfection, Nevada, was a fully built set in California, so real fans hunted it, but it vanished after filming, leaving only legend. Shocking Secret 16. Why theatrical release almost didn't happen.
Wait, are we
Universal
repeating
Pictures
now?
didn't know what to do with Tremors. Early screenings had audiences laughing as much as screaming, leaving executives baffled. Was it a horror film? A comedy? A parody? That confusion nearly doomed it to a direct-to-video release. For weeks, the studio debated shelving the project altogether, fearing it wouldn't attract audiences.
Nope,
Kevin
this is new.
Bacon's
This is
star
new.
power wasn't enough to sway them, and the film's odd mix of tones left marketing teams at a loss. Finally, Tremors was given a limited theatrical release, but with minimal promotion. The studio expected it to flop,
Okay.
and at the box office, it did. But what Universal didn't realize was that the movie was about to find a second life far bigger than theaters could provide.
Okay, like, this is not uncommon, though. There have been plenty of films that have come out, do terribly in the theaters, and then find a cult following once it goes to home video. Yeah, Princess Bride is a good example. There was another one. Oh, I just had it. There was Highlander. That's another one. Highlander, I don't think did very well at the theaters at all, but it became I was thinking the same thing. But it gained a massive cult following once it came out to home video. There are a lot of movies that don't do well for a theatrical release, but go like crazy when they came out on home video. And they gain such a cult following when they come out on home video that's what greenlight sequels is, because the home video sales go like crazy. It's honestly, like, Tremors is not unique in this. It's pretty damn common, realistically.
There's one. Straight out in front. See if we can keep him right there.
Universal was baffled by Tremors' tone and nearly shelved it, Limited release flopped, but the film's cult life was just beginning. Shocking Secret 17, the VHS revolution that saved Tremors.
We're stretching a little bit. We just talked about
After a
this.
disappointing theatrical run, Tremors should have disappeared. But then came the VHS boom.
Well, 4, agreed. Agreed. Nobody wants to go to theaters anymore. They did, and 4, it's not so much that they would rather watch it on the smallest screen. This is you're partially right. Most people don't want to go to the movie theater anymore, not because they prefer seeing it on a smaller screen. It's that the movie theater experience is not worth it. The movie theaters, they're charging too much for tickets. The food and drinks are astronomical in price, and people act like fucking animals when you go to the theater. Look at the Minecraft movie, for God's sake. Look what happened with when the Minecraft movie released in theaters. You had people going fucking crazy in the theaters where people, and so regular moviegoers could watch it. They were even bringing live fucking chickens into the theater. It's just the movie theater experience in and of itself is not enjoyable, and that's why so many people are just like, fuck it, I will watch it at home. And most people at home have giant, like 42-50-inch screen TVs, which is honestly enough. The people's standard home theater setups is honestly enough. Not to mention, you can eat or drink whatever you want. You can be sitting comfortably on your couch. You can pause the movie if you need to go and use the bathroom halfway through the movie. Whereas if you're in the theater, you might miss something. So it's just that people prefer the comfortable, cozy, at-home experience versus what the theater experiences have become. And that's why people would rather watch it on the, quote, smaller screen. It's more comfortable, and the smaller screen is usually big enough.
I miss Alamo Drafthouse. They were the only place that enforced silence around here.
Kegel's fingers. Theater that actually enforced silence. Nice!
Video turned the film into an underground sensation, passed from friend to friend, taped off TV, and replayed endlessly at sleepovers. Video rental stores couldn't keep copies on shelves. Word of mouth transformed Tremors from a box office failure into a cult favorite. Families who missed it in theaters discovered it at home, where its mix of horror and comedy fit perfectly. The miracle of VHS didn't just save Tremors, it defined its legacy. Without video rentals, the film might have vanished into obscurity. Instead, it became one of the most re-watched monster movies of the 90s.
Run, Val, run!
VHS.
I never did understand why Val didn't just jump right away. The thing where he'd exploded a bomb behind it. The thing was screaming away in panic. It wasn't even looking to eat. It made no fucking sense for Val to just stand there and wait till the last second to jump. It wasn't coming to eat him. It was just trying to get away from the sound.
Turned Tremors from box office flop to cult
Yeah,
classic,
tension. Yeah.
spreading its underground fame one rental at a time. Shocking Secret 18, the sequels no one
Here
saw
we go.
coming. When Tremors flopped in theaters, no one expected sequels. Yet the franchise grew into a sprawling universe with multiple direct-to-video films, a short-lived TV series, and even video games. Each sequel introduced new twists, from shriekers that hunted in packs to airborne ass blasters. While some fans saw them as campy, others embraced the absurd expansion of the graboid mythology.
Okay, I do have to point out one thing, is each movie introduced something new. That kind of stopped after Tremors 3. After Tremors 3, there wasn't really a whole lot of introduction of new things other than location. They changed, like they went to new locations. There was one thing in Tremors in the 6th movie, I believe. I believe this sixth movie did introduce something new. I won't spoil it because we may watch it during movie night. But by and large, the subsequent movies after 3 didn't really introduce a whole lot of quote-unquote new stuff.
Against all odds, Tremors evolved into one of Universal's longest-running franchises. What began as a one-off desert thriller became a multi-decade saga, fueled not by blockbuster profits, but by relentless fan devotion.
Well, it just...
Tremors spawned sequels, a TV show, and games, turning a flop into a long-running...
No, Cat. Well, if you mean a new graboid, like, kinda, sorta, but again, that's like location. Again, the location was... There was a facet on A Cold Day in Hell, the Tremors 6, A Cold Day in Hell. They did... Again, I don't want to say it because I don't want to spoil it, because we may watch it for movie night. Maybe we'll watch a few more this weekend for movie night. But yet they did introduce a new feature in Tremors 6, and that's what I'm talking about. Largely, though, the rest of them were just location changes.
Sequels, a TV show, and games, turning a flop into a long-running cult franchise fueled by fan devotion. Shocking Secret 19. Kevin Bacon's regret over walking away. Kevin Bacon was the face of Tremors, but he never returned for the sequels. At the time, he believed the film's box office failure made it a dead end. Years later, he admitted he regretted the decision. Bacon even signed onto a proposed Tremors TV reboot in 2018, reprising Valentine decades later. The pilot was shot, critics praised it, but Universal shelved the project before it aired. Fans were devastated. For Bacon, Tremors became the one role that haunted him. He called it one of the best films he'd ever made, and the franchise's longevity only deepened his frustration at having walked away too soon.
I'm well surprised if he really liked it that much. I'm actually kind of surprised he didn't try to make a deal with Universal and try and buy the rights to make it himself. Because he's got the money. He probably could have made the Tremors TV series himself.
Kevin Bacon skipped the Tremors sequels, later regretting it, and even a 2018 TV reboot he joined was shelved, leaving fans and him frustrated. Shocking.
And again, this was in 2018, where a lot of stuff. Like 2018, we were already seeing the downfall of Hollywood, so it doesn't surprise me that they shelved it because Hollywood was trying to do guaranteed hits and trying to do like guaranteed formulas, which ironically enough is what people didn't want. People were looking for something new. People wanted something interesting. They didn't want mechanists like the reboots fucking galore. They didn't want they weren't looking for, around 2018. That's when we were starting to see the fucking girl boss shit where it's like, it's the March of the Mary fucking Sues in a lot of movies. And this was the time where we were seeing the rapid decline of Hollywood, and DEI. This was the time of when this was really going strong. And I'm guessing Tremors was very decidedly non-DEI, and so they probably shelved it so they could instead put out some fucking diverse piece of shit that no one wanted to see in the first place, and probably died a very swift death, either in the ratings or at the box office.
Shocking Secret 20. How Tremors became an unlikely cult legacy. What started as a movie Universal didn't believe in became a cult legend. Tremors defied categorization, part horror, part comedy, part western, and in doing so, it carved out its own genre. Fans embraced its quirky tone, quotable lines, and unforgettable monsters. Decades later, it still screens at midnight showings, inspires fan art, and sparks endless online debates about sequels, spin-offs, and lost projects. The truth is, Tremors survived because it was more than just a monster movie. It was a story about survival, friendship, and humor in the face of fear. That's why, even buried under studio doubt and box office failure, it...
Okay, this is one scene in Tremors where this wasn't CGI. This was optical trickery, where I think you had like Michael Gross standing in front of a green screen, and it was very obvious. Yeah, and he's either in front of a green screen or in front of a projection screen, and it's really obvious. This was like the one scene in the first Tremors where there was definitely not like, this was not like all practical here.
This failure, it dug its way into history and never let go. Tremors defied expectations, blending horror, comedy, and Western elements to become a lasting cult classic, beloved for its monsters, humor, and heart. Tremors wasn't just a monster movie. It was a gamble, a strange hybrid of horror and comedy that almost never saw the light of day. But its survival turned it into something greater, a cult legend with secrets still buried under the desert sand. Maybe that's why it still pulls us back, because it's proof that even the strangest risks can echo through time. If this dug up a side of Tremors you didn't know, share your favorite shocking secret in the comments. And make sure to like and subscribe for more untold stories from the films that refuse to die. Remember, some things never stay buried forever.
Well, little bit of the AI shenanigans with the video aside, that was pretty good. I liked that. There was some really good, interesting behind the scenes stuff there. Editing of the video was a little off, but overall I thought it was quite enjoyable. I really liked it.